Hi, I'm Matt Ellefson, founder and CEO of SURVIVEiT, and welcome to Fearless Friday. Today, I'm going to talk about staying informed about your specific type of cancer. And I'm going to talk about one way to do this. There are many ways, but one way is using Google Alerts. Now, for example, I have ALK-positive lung cancer. That means my cancer is driven by an abnormality in my ALK gene, and in my case, it's a fusion to another gene. So I set up a Google alert for ALK lung cancer, and Google emails me any stories, any FDA approvals, any clinical trials, or any content whatsoever that includes the words ALK and lung cancer. Now, if you don't know what your gene mutation is, it's important that you have a comprehensive genomic sequencing test performed on your biopsy tissue. And we've also provided a link below that explains this and a document you can take to your oncologist to order this test. You can just set up a Google alert for your type of cancer, for example, breast cancer. That would be helpful also. Now, if you don't want to set up a Google alert, then I recommend you subscribe to one of our SURVIVEiT Facebook group pages for your type of cancer. You can do that from the listing of groups we've provided below, and we will post FDA approvals and clinical trial information for each type of cancer in these Facebook group pages. These groups are also a great place to interact with long-term survivors who have your specific type of cancer. You can ask questions about treatment options, side effects, or anything you want to know from people who have walked this path before you. I've received far more information from survivors than I ever have from any doctor. I do, however, take all information I learn, no matter who it's from, and discuss it with my doctors to verify that it's accurate and applicable to my condition. So I'd recommend you do that as well. And I'd like to just point out, why is it so important to set up a Google alert? And what are the things that you would expect to find? Well, I'll give you one example of what happened to me. I had a Google alert set up to help me inform me about lung cancer when I was just after I was initially diagnosed and under treatment back in 2010. And in 2011, while my cancer was in remission, I had just received my scans and checkup and unfortunately learned that I had a recurrence. So I was sitting in the waiting room at the #1 rated cancer center in the world, waiting to see my oncologist and learn what we're going to do next to treat this recurrence. And my oncologist happened to be running 90 minutes late that day, so I got out my phone and began reading my emails. And just minutes before looking at my emails, I had received a Google alert about an FDA approval for ALK-positive lung cancers. Now, at that time, I didn't know if I was ALK-positive or not, but I read the press release about the FDA approval and how effective this drug was. It was very exciting and hopeful to read this news of this promising new drug. So after my doctor told me about my next chemo treatment plan, I asked if I could be tested for the ALK mutation before starting any more chemotherapy. And he agreed to do so. And so I was tested, and I tested positive for the ALK mutation. And I was put on that drug immediately, and that drug effectively controlled my lung cancer for 54 months. 54 months. It was just an incredible drug for me. Now, if I hadn't set up a Google alert, I wouldn't have known about this new drug, and I would have received another line of treatment using chemotherapy. And I very seriously doubt I'd be alive today. It's so very important to do everything you can to stay on top of all available options for your type of cancer, because in today's cancer care system, it's virtually impossible for oncologists to stay on top of everything. They need our help. And more importantly, it's our life, not theirs. I want to make sure I'm doing everything I can to help my medical team help me control and eventually cure my disease. And I'm sure you do too. We want you to know, if you've been affected by cancer, SURVIVEiT is an organization of survivors helping patients. If you've been affected by cancer in any way and have any questions or need any information regarding living with cancer, please contact us anytime for any reason at info@surviveit.org, and we'll be there to help you. We're all in on this together, and together we will create a world free from the fear of cancer. I'm Matt Ellefson, and until next time, stay strong and live fearless.